Welcome back, everybody. My name's A Prater 54, aka Adam, coach of the McChesney Park Slowpokes, and today I bring you the draft analysis for PWC Season 8. Normally, this is a showdown league, but this season they decided to add a Wi-Fi league hosted by Breadfooting Official. The way this works is there's two clans. There's Diamond, and then there's Pearl. I ended up being in Diamond Clan along with a lot of the more skilled players. Pearl is the mid to average. Well, I'd say we're both relatively even. It all depends on how we perform and how we draft. But these were two 8-man pulls, and we are required to take our Terra Captain round 1. And it has to be tier C, D, or E. And then after that, you have to pick a combination of 10 other Pokemon, but you can't have more than 2 S tier, more than 2 A tier. You can have 3 Bs, 4 Cs, 4 Ds, and then you are required to have an E tier, so 1 from each tier. So it's any possible combination you guys can decide. But round 1, I did something out of the norm. I got a bulky tank, and the queen needs her crown. Diancie, she is a bulky girl. She can also be very offensive. 167 max in both stats at level 50 is not bad. 222 in both defenses maxed out isn't bad, and its HP is incredibly high. The only drawback is Diancie's speed is only base 50. But Diancie has a lot of tools in her arsenal. You've got Calm Mind, Iron Defense, Body Press. But with the newest thing that they got was Play Rough and Spikes this gen. So now not only does this have rocks, it now has spikes, which is really good. This has Trick Room Rock Polish to do speed control in some matchups. And she can beat any Terra she wants to and run Terra Blast. So my opponent has to predict whether I'm going to be a tanky set, defense-wise, SpDef-wise, physical set, special set, or a speed sweeping set with stored power. Or I could be a Trick Room set as well with stored power. This is a phenomenal Mong. It's a lot of coverage, and whatever it lacks, it can make up with Terra Blast. But yeah, Diancie, the queen's gonna get her crown this season, and she has to come to every battle. So this is going to either be really good, really bad, or a love-hate relationship. But without further ado, let's get back into our second mon. We have Palafin again. About 20 minutes before draft, they decided to not ban this. It went to vote, and I believe it was 9-7, if I remember right. So it almost got banned. If it was tie, it would have just stayed banned. Palafin, baby form's not a threat, but hero form, base 150 attack with Jet Punch, which is a priority water move. Gets access to Wave Crest. Base 100 speed is actually really good, especially with its attack stat. It has relatively good HP. I believe it's also 100 as well. But this thing gets access to Body Slam, Close Combat, Drain Punch, Boom Burst to be special. There's a Throat Spray set. This gets access to Taunt, Grass Knot, Fling. Realistically, water absorb mons can't sit in front of this. And there's a lot of things that this thing can just punch through that it's not going to care about. Palafin is just a thrill ride. I didn't have much luck with it in BBR, but hopefully with a little bit of the more bulky team, I can have this mon prevail. And we're just going to see what happens with it this season. There's not much more I have to say about it. But round 3 is where it gets interesting. Sneasler. It's my second S tier. Sneasler is poison fighting, so it's times 4 weak to psychic. But it's neutral to fairy, and I believe I'm still weak to ground. I'm still weak to flying. But what makes this mon good is it can run poison touch to over and over be able to poison your opponents. With its move Dire Claw, I believe it stacks. What Dire Claw does is it's base 90. It's a 50% chance to roll sleep, poison, paralysis, and I don't think burns in there, but I believe it's the other 3. But the fact that it can roll sleep 33% of the time is ridiculous. This also gets access to close combat, acrobatics, U-turn to be a momentum pivot. This gets access to SD. Another thing that makes this mon phenomenal is it gets access to on burden. So if this is in a terrain matchup, it can just use a seed, double its speed, and it's permanent the entire time it's in. Which is great. You can raise your SPDEF or you can raise your defense, set up a sword stance, and now you're just ripping through things. There's also a white herb set where you run close combat. You can also run eject pack. This mon loves running choice scarf. I look forward to using it. It's brand new to me because I didn't get far enough in Legends Arceus to use this. So we are just going to see how this goes. And it's like a truck. I played a couple battles with it. Oh, it hits hard. And then we have Cinderace again for my A tier. Why not have Court Change? Why not? That and you've got access to Pyro Ball, U-turn, high jump kick. I can't remember if it kept Iron Head, but it gets acrobatics if you run no item. It can U-turn pivot, sucker punch. Libero is one-time use, change your typing to a secondary one, so now sucker punch, for example, becomes stab. Excellent speed tier at 119, so it outpaces my Palafin, and I believe it's 1 point slower than my Sneasler, which is really good, especially with the utility that this mon gets. It even has access to moves like Will-O-Wisp and Super Fang to cripple teams. And this gen, it gained Trailblaze, so now it has a Grass Stab, which is really good. A mon like Gastrodon can now no longer sit in front of this and wall it. And I'm excited to use Cinderace again. And now the fun thing. I decided, hey, let's bring back Regidrago. Its ability, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Draconic Might. I don't know. I'll look it up later. It's not important. But what that ability does is a 50% boost to all of its dragon moves. Well, Draco's boosted, Dragon Pulse is boosted. Unfortunately, this thing lost Scale Shot, but it retained Dragon Dance. So it can boost its speed. This has access to Hyper Beam. Gets access to all the Fang moves now. Fire, Thunder, Ice, Fang. Gets access to Earthquake and Earth Power now this gen. So it could be a dual threat, whether it's physical or special. And then the way Dragon Energy works is based off its HP. It's a base 150 Dragon type move boosted by its ability. So it overrides like Steel Resists and just punches through a team. Granted, this thing will get walled by Fairy types, I can still have safe switches to the rest of my team because a fairy type's not going to want to swing into like Deontay or Cinderace. So I have reliable ways out. So what this comes in is if they don't have a steel or fairy left, I can just come in and spam Dragon Energy. The drawback with this is if it gets hit by priority, the HP goes down, rocks also lower, but still it's going to be pretty strong. But yeah, look forward to using this again. It's got a few new toys, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Next, we've got Earthworm. People didn't pay attention. Revival Blessing's last respects were banned, but Shed Tail was not. That and this has Earth Eater, which makes it completely immune to ground type moves. This has access to rocks, spikes, Shed Tail, Iron Defense, Body Press. You can just hammer things. It's relatively heavy, so heavy slam hurts. You can run Iron Head for flinching. And it's Earthquake, gets access to rock type moves, gets access to a decent amount of coverage. The only drawback is this thing's SPDEF is kind of sus. It's really low. But its defense and its HP are ridiculous, and I can be a defensive wall, get chunked down, come back into a ground type move, and completely heal myself. Or use, actually, it's a quarterback. But I look forward to using Earthworm for the first time. And using an actual Shed Tail user. And actually using the move. Because I have a lot of threats that like being behind a bulky sub based off of this thing's HP. But yeah, that's Earthworm. And going on to the next mon, round 7, I took Zapdos. Zapdos kind of got butchered this gen. It lost Defog. It retained Roost, but I believe it lost Roar as well. So it can't, like, Roar and Whirlwind are gone, so it cannot phase people out. But this thing gained access, retained access to Agility, which is pretty good for weather matchups, just outspeed. This gives access to moves like Thunder, Hurricane, Air Slash, Heat Wave, U-Turn, Roost. It's still a phenomenally bulky mon, decent speed tier. I can heal off damage, I can U-Turn out, I can Volt Switch out, and I can just cycle back into the rest of my team. This gives me excellent momentum. Same with Cinderace, Sneasler, Palafin, all momentum. So I look forward to using this mon. I haven't used this since BBL. It was an Ubers League. So hopefully I can do this mon justice with some of the moves that it's lacking now. And then round 8. Arboliva. We have our terrain setter for Sneasler. This also nerfs ground damage. This also gives turnly healing to Sneasler, Cinderace, Palafin, and to Diancie. This also would boost Terragrass Diancie's Energy Ball and make it incredibly strong because of the grassy terrain set by Seedsoar. In a matchup where I have to deal with Indeedee, Pincurchin, this will always win because all it has to do is get hit, resets the terrain. So say they come in, they set their psychic terrain. Okay, they hit me. My terrain goes back up. I don't even have to switch back out. And now I have a boosted grass move hitting them in return fire, which with this thing's high special attack stat can just nuke them back if they are not SPDEF bulky. This even gets access to Weather Ball, Earth Power, Dazzling Gleam, and Stab Hyper Voice. This thing just hits like a truck. It's incredibly bulky. It may be Grass and normal, but this thing can take fighting type moves if you EV it correctly. As long as they're not incredibly strong physical attackers, this can tank them. Use Strength Sap, get all that HP back, and lower their attack by 1. And now it can just sit here, rinse, wash, repeat. You have leftovers, Strength Sap, and Grassy Terrain Healing. That's an auto full heal without clicking rest, which is incredibly good. That, and when Zapdos roosts, and this is on the field, that's Turnly heal. That's a little bit of recovery for Zapdos. Orthworm still gets recovery from this, and I believe Orthworm has Stomping Tantrum to avoid the nerf from EQ that this gives, which is Bulldoze, EQ, and Magnitude, but Magnitude's not in the game. So yeah, there's ways around the terrain. Earth Power from Regidrago also avoids the terrain, so it's not going to be nerfed. So realistically, Synergy is very good. This activates my Unburden on Sneasler. This gives Diancie Turnly healing. So overall, really good. And then we get into Sableye. Let's have Weather Control, Screens, and Status Cripple in one mon. Granted, it's incredibly slow, but this is a knockoff user. This gets access to Trick, Thunderwave this gen. Gets Light Screen Reflect this gen. Gets Rain Dance, Sunny Day, and I don't believe it gets Snowscape, but it's interesting. This even got access to Nasty Plot now. This gets access to Bulk Up, Calm Mind, can be bulky itself. I just wish this mon got Power Trip. But this mon also retained Recover. So now we have Roost, Recover, Strength Sap, all in one team. So I'm not exactly just pure hyper offense. I can be bulky, I can set up screens, I can work around you. So this is a multi-purpose tool to help manipulate weather matchups, have screens, and just do what I need it to do. Granted, I won't have to use Sableye every single week, but it's still a good mon and is really fun to use. And then round 10 Clodsire. Don't ask why this is still sitting there, because at the time this was on the board. Crocodile, Gastrodon, Sandy Shocks, this, and Quagsire were all still on the board. And I decided, let's have Water Absorb, Unaware, and Poison Touch in the same mon. Might as well set up some T-Spikes for Sneasler to just do some damage. Have Rocks, have Recover, be able to have, I believe it has Amnesia. Can't remember if it has Bulk Up though, but it can just sit there, get tanky, and then ignore your setup. It can take water moves to just neutralize rain, make them have to hit it with stuff it's weak to, like ground moves. But even if it wants to hit a ground move, you just harden to Zapdos, harden to Orthworm, or you harden to Arboliva. That's incredibly valuable. That and the things that this thing can do for the team, like with Yawn, force things out. And I believe, I can't remember if it gets spikes or not, but I'll double check that. If it does, then I got triple hazards in one mon. So yeah, I look forward to using this. I know I'm double poison, but I can work around that. We'll see what happens. I'm actually not overly weak to Psychic at this point, which is incredible. And I'm not overly weak to water either. So, without further ado, that's Clodsire, my little derpkins. And final pick of the draft, because I am required to have an E tier. I took Girafarig. Why not have a grass immunity, a bulky psychic normal type, to benefit my team? This also has access to screens. This has access to EV Light to double its defenses. Gets access to special and physical coverage. Gets access to a couple status moves, Trick Room. It's basically a little trinket chest, just like a Sableye is. But yeah, Draft-Vigor's going to be interesting. I don't think it puts out a lot of damage, but it can put out some damage. And Future Sight's not a bad thing to have because sometimes my opponent forgets about it. But yeah, I did not know until recently that this thing's base 85 speed, which baffles me. I always thought it was slow. It's decently fast. Like up there with some of the starters levels of fast. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, this thing gets a ton of coverage. This might actually come to a few matches. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the team. Let me know how it is at the, well, in the comments. Leave a like if you haven't. And thanks for watching. You guys have a good day. And look forward to the rest of the season. Later.